Friday, November 30th. The big economic news week is next week. At the end of next week, we're going to get the monthly job report, which will show activity during the month of November. And markets have talked themselves into belief that the economy is either slowing or, no matter what it's doing, the Fed is going to hike once or twice more and then pause. I would give that a solid maybe. The Fed's going to hike a quarter point in December on the 19th. Their pattern has been every 90 days. The financial markets are primed for one more quarter point hike sometime early spring, like March. The Fed says that it's data dependent, meaning it's just going to look at what the economy does and then decide what to do. It's a time of considerable uncertainty, but the next revelation is next week. This week we had Fed speakers. The chairman spoke, the vice chairman Clarita spoke, John Williams spoke today. Powell's speech is a beautiful thing. In the copy that's next to this video, I've got live links to the speech and also to the Fed's first financial sustainability report ever. And it's very reassuring about the risks that are present and the risks that are not present. And most of the risks are not present. Powell had a little repair job to do, which has been misunderstood by the media and by markets as well. Last month, Powell said that neutral was a long ways away. Rates went straight up on bad market days. In this speech this week, Powell, without reference to what he had said a month ago, said that the Fed is very close to neutral. Fed chairmen know on their first day in the chair that the markets are going to watch absolutely everything that they say. They're prone to misinterpreting what the Fed chairman says, and they try to be very, very careful, but it's superhuman to never misstep. So markets, having misunderstood what he said last month, misunderstood what he said this month. The widespread assumption is that we're close to neutral meant that the Fed had shifted policy. Nothing has changed. The whole Fed predicate is based on a hope that the economy slows, so that the Fed won't have to do any damage. Powell also, for the first time, acknowledged that Fed action today may take a year to take full effect. The Fed tightened a full percentage point in the last year, so it's going to take maybe a year to figure out how much damage was done. He's a genuinely wise man. His speeches are actually easy to read. They're in readable English, and it beats hell out of reading what the Wall Street people have to say about anything. But in the news vacuum this week, the economic news vacuum, last Friday, Black Friday, the Trump administration released a new climate report. And honest to Pete, in hopes that if they released it on Black Friday, nobody would notice. And I have written the newsletter near this video for the last 30 years, and not once have I been foolish enough to write about climate until today. If there's a mob out front setting my car on fire right about now as the newsletter goes out, I understand. Long time ago, I took years of geology at Brown, and the professor, this incredible John Embry, was a glaciologist and a paleoclimatologist before the word had been coined. Embry proved the cause of periods of ice ages in the last 2.5 million years. And they're caused by changes in the Earth's orbit, little changes in the shape of the ellipse, also wobbles of the Earth's axis. And when the orbital changes coincide with a wobble, it gets cold. In the last 2.5 million years, it's been cold about 95% of the time, maybe 90. So with the best intentions, I've intended to tell some of John's story, and a part of John's story in the book that he wrote, that's still the definitive work on the cause of ice ages, and he wrote it 40 years ago, is one of the very first visuals and postulates of the effect of CO2 loading on glacial cycles. And it's fun. So I don't mean to be argumentative, but it's there. Next week, safely back to economics. Do have a good weekend.